It was just 5 quiet words, whispered in the hallway after the strategy meeting. You forgot my name. Soft, like a reminder between colleagues. Not a declaration of war. But Sophia Reed didn't even glance my way. She snapped her laptop shut, her eyes cold as steel, and said, I don't credit ghost consultants. Then she strode into the elevator, heels clicking like she owned the entire Manhattan high-rise. My pitch deck, the one I'd architected from the ground up, still open on her tablet, as if it had materialized out of thin air. That was the instant it hit me. Not the first time she'd interrupted me mid-sentence. Not the second time she'd scrubbed my risk assessments like they were optional footnotes. No. It was that empty stare. The kind reserved for the help. The one that screamed you'd outlived your usefulness 5 minutes ago. I'd been with Bridge Tech for 16 months under a strict NDA. No LinkedIn shoutouts. No bio on the company site. Not even a whisper of who really kept the ship from sinking. I designed the compliance architecture that survived the SEC forensic audit after their last scandal. I'd engineered the predictive analytics that lured investors back to the table. And I'd done it all as a shadow. That was the agreement, until Sophia decided shadows don't deserve equity. If you're out there listening, wondering how deep this rabbit hole goes, stick around. It only gets uglier from here. I didn't confront her that day. No raised voices. No fiery emails blasting through the server. I just noted the exact timestamp when she claimed full credit for my proprietary models in front of the exec team, 3 slides licensed directly to my firm. Veritas Tech. That's the beauty of operating in silence. You construct empires while they chatter. And when they forget who laid the foundation, that's when the cracks start spiderwebbing. 16 months back, Bridge Tech was teetering on the brink after a brutal SEC probe over faulty export licenses, a compliance lapse, and the loss of 2 major clients worth $180 million. Their CTO retired for health reasons, code for dodging subpoenas. That's when they brought in Veritas Tech under a covert services contract. I onboard under an alias. For their legal eagles paranoia. No public links. No internal credits. We dubbed it Project Silent Guardian fancy speak for, I rebuild your crumbling house. And you pretend you found the plans in your attic. For those 16 months, I was the phantom in the code. I overhauled their vendor compliance system from scratch, fortified the data integrity protocols, and redesigned the forecasting models for every division. I worked remote, ghosted meetings, and funneled all comms through an encrypted proxy in Seattle. My real name, Emily Hart, never graced a single doc. But every file bore my invisible watermark, traceable if push came to shove. Then Sophia stormed in. Sophia Reed. Hot off a Forbes 30 Under 30 feature and a TED Talk called Disruption as Destiny. I watched that talk not out of admiration, but to size up the new predator in the pack. She kicked off with, the past is the anchor dragging you down. She meant folks like me. The ones who recall the breaks and the fixes. She arrived like a hurricane, no handover. No briefings. Just instant critiques and buzz phrases like, velocity is our value engine. And outdated mindsets are dead weight. I saw the suits nod and label her visionary. I saw her gut 5 weeks of my analytics and slap in a PowerPoint template laced with jargon. She called it investor mindset mastery. Her superpower? Convincing rooms that her fireworks were substance, even as the fuses burned out beneath her. By her 3rd month, she'd sidelined every project lead who knew the original wiring. Most took buyouts. The rest got shuffled to innovation silos. That left her crew fresh-faced, overconfident, clueless about the legal minefield under every investor packet and compliance checkpoint. When I flagged the attribution lapse in a secure memo, her assistant shot back with a thumbs-up emoji. That was it. But I kept grinding. My contract hummed on. My access stayed live. And crucially, my IP remained mine. They couldn't yank it because it was never theirs to begin with. See, tucked in the Master Services Agreement they'd inked with Veritas was Clause 9.7. Licensor retains all rights to derivative works and can enforce misuse via arbitration or third-party audit. Lawyer lingo for steal my blueprints without crediting me. And I'll torpedo your parade, especially with EU buyers under their ironclad IP laws. Sophia didn't know that. She also didn't know one of the buyer's external counsels was my old collaborator from a data forensics gig in Berlin. We grabbed beers annually. She once quipped, "I live for nailing thieves on tape, just drop the trail." So I did. Subtly. Surgically. Every upload from Sophia's team to the investor portal? I archived it. Hashed it. Cross-referenced against our copyrighted templates. Every scrub disclaimer? Logged as a violation. The week before the big summit, she dropped a slick deck sans any licensing nods, her initials emblazoned on the cover like a crown. That's when I knew, time to emerge from the shadows and let the structure do the talking. By Q3's kickoff, Sophia operated with the blind arrogance of someone allergic to fallout. She wasn't merely tweaking decks, every VP does that. She was eviscerating core logic. Stripping safeguards crafted to clear US and EU regs. My originals had triple projection scenarios with baked-in variances for SEC and GDPR compliance. Hers? A lone slide with a chart straight out of a freshman econ textbook. Topped with growth unstoppable in screaming Arial. I fired off a discreet alert via secure line, stripping disclaimers in Section 4 risks transatlantic audit flags. Crickets. No receipt. No, we'll circle back. Just void. Then a meeting invite sans my name. That's when I peeked at the latest file's perms. She'd not only nuked the disclaimers, she'd wiped metadata, axed version history, yanked the licensing footer from slide 17, which, fun fact, was copyrighted under US IP code 102A. Copied pixel for pixel down to the gradient fill. I didn't panic. Didn't escalate. I forwarded a snapshot to my attorney, Lena. We'd felled bigger beasts. A hedge fund once tried passing my algorithms as intern experiments. Ended in arbitration and a 7-figure payout I funneled right back into Veritas defenses. Lena's reply, "She's slipping. We're cataloging it all." I exhaled after that. Sophia. Meanwhile, soared. Bridge Tekka's brass. Still scarred from last year's near meltdown. Latched onto her vibe like a lifeline. She owned weekly huddles with gems like narrative dominance drives valuation and frictionless scaling as profit paradigm. The execs bobbed like puppets. A few even aped her lingo. I heard one drop legacy transparency sinkhole in a budget powwow like he'd coined it. They were mesmerized. I was the fossil. Or so they believed. But she botched one fatal assumption, never probing who engineered the beast. Never tracing the data pipeline's roots. Never wondering why audits hadn't blown up in months, because I'd patched them. She figured the stage was pristine. That delusion? Her undoing. 3 weeks pre-pitch. Sophia ran a rehearsal in the main conference room. Buyers absent. But C-suite present. I wasn't invited. But Lena was. We'd amended our contract 6 months prior, naming her as IP observer for any derivative material. And since Sophia's deck rode my analytic skeleton, crayon scrawled or not, Lena had boardroom rights. For her notes, Sophia rocked red lipstick. Ponytail sharp. Tone like a blade. We've de-risked the infrastructure by cutting redundancies and streamlining assumptions. I nearly laughed reading that. She meant my failsafes. Built to thwart the oversimplification she'd peddled. One suit flagged the export projections as overly rosy. Sophia fired back. The data doesn't lie. Unsaid, it wasn't her data. Mine. Diluted and glossed. But the bones? Still protected. Still mine. I spent those nights dissecting her portal uploads, every tweaked chart, every vanished disclaimer. Ran them through our Delta Trace tool. Another Veritas invention. Watching infractions climb 11, 13, 14 blatant breaches. 2 export sensitive. 3 under EU data laws. 1 do not duplicate without attribution, a phrase she'd lifted verbatim then erased. Audit logs captured it all. I didn't seethe. Didn't rant. Just texted Lena, verify triggers armed. Her, armed. They've walked into it. I slept sound that night. Because when you wire the traps and they waltz blind, you don't yell, you wait for the snap. The summit hall reeked of ambition and nerves, floor-to-ceiling windows. Ambient jazz. Servers weaving with untouched bubbly. These investors didn't need wooing, they craved spectacle. Assurance that perils were pre-vanquished. Sophia delivered. All charisma and cadence. She looped back to her TED gem. Sprinkled strategic rebirth and operational precision. Her slides dazzled on the megascreen, fluid animations. Refreshed fonts. Logo tweaked. 0 nods to the predictive core's origins. No footnote. No hint. I observed from the rear. By the AV setup. Badge on a jacket last worn in DC. I stood, absorbing the mounting strain. My tag read Veritas Tech. No one clocked me except Lena. 2 rose up in a gray suit screaming litigator. Sophia orchestrated the finale like a maestro. We've optimized the backbone. Her laser danced over a graph I'd coded on a red eye to Chicago. Ditching obsolete methods for resilient strategies securing Bridgetecha's worldwide edge. A polished fib. But resonant. I stayed stoic. Tallying breaches internally. Slide 8's forecast? Straight from my dual model IP filed last autumn. Slide 11's exports? Sanitized from datasets I'd brokered. She'd not copied, she'd rebranded theft as genius via bravado. She rapped with faux modesty. But I caught the smug curl. The head investor straightened. No applause. Just a piercing query. Whose analytics underpin these forecasts? Sophia faltered, eyes darting left. Up, then beamed. Internal team optimizations. Proprietary across iterations. Lena held. So did I. The buyer's GC. Nora, my co-author on a algorisk white paper, cocked her head. Tablet scanning slides 4. 6. 10. She paused on 18. Glanced up. Then the cue, pen tap. 2-finger circle. Subtle. But seismic. I advanced, measured steps down the aisle. Past a phone-glued exec and a metric-scrolling VP. Front row. Beside Nora. I proffered my card, plain white. Emily Hart. Veritas-tech.com. She scanned. Impassive. Then slid it to the investor. He read. Lifted his gaze slowly. And grinned, not at Sophia. At me. Actually, he drawled. Pivoting to her like a dad busting a fib. Do you know who she is? Sophia blinked. Words failed her for the first time in ages. She didn't respond immediately. Shoulders rigid. As if expecting cheers over collision. Lips parted. Script lagging. But in a den of sharks sniffing weakness. Her paws roared. Then, like cornered gamblers, she bluffed harder. Internal team finalization, louder. Sharper. No specifics. Just internal, as if volume sealed leaks. But her timbre fractured on team, and Nora ceased nodding. I didn't surge. My style's deliberate. I extended the card to Nora. Eyes locked. Ignoring Sophia. Nora accepted. Reread. Whispered to the investor. He registered. Then smiled, knowing. Slicing deeper than shouts. Turning to Sophia, actually. Do you know who she is? Her face locked. Like crashing an uninvited dialogue. She's consulting support, she grasped. Early templates. Early? Nora probed. Slide 12 mirrors her regression model. Slide 15 taps Veritas exclusive data. Slide 18? That risk map we patented together in 2020. Sophia stared at her tablet like it had turned traitor. I wasn't aware. You weren't aware? Nora echoed. Serene. The room tilted. Murmurs rippled. Execs who'd bobbed now eyed floors. Bridgetech's CFO coughed. No eyes met his. Let's break, he suggested. But inertia held. This wasn't nitpicking, it was unraveling. Sophia hadn't just swiped models, she'd hawked them as hers to EU-tied investors under IP packs. She'd hauled a booby-trapped deck across borders. And now the table's far side knew. I stayed mute, the card spoke volumes. It recalled who forged the engine. Owned the circuits beneath their shiny stats and slogans. Held keys to safeguard Sophia axed for speed. The investor's steepled fingers, MS. Hart's firm holds exclusive IP on this infrastructure. This screams misattribution, potential breach. Nora nodded. Tapping, confirmed. Sophia paled. I wasn't briefed, that's the issue, investor sliced. She hushed. Fingers twitching over the tablet. Seeking escape scrolls. But no refuge. The summit morphed to live audit. And I? Done lurking. Sophia resembled someone spotting the ledge mid-strut, jaw clenched. Eyes calculating panic into composure. She pivoted to Nora. Smile strained. Syllables poised to salvage. But Nora didn't reciprocate. She lifted a finger. Gesturing to the screen's lingering slide 18, the risk overlay we'd co-patented. Laced with metadata that pinged Veritas servers on public display. This deck, Nora intoned, draws from Veritas IP overlays. Logic. Compliance paths. None Bridgetech's. Per agreement. Unattributed public use sparks breach audit. Sophia's mouth gaped. Shut. Gaped. A choked phrase. Then quiet, a stall unspinnable. I wasn't told, she uttered. Because you never inquired, Nora retorted. The investor scanned the display. Eyes slitting. Sophia froze before her own spectacle, hues garish. Motions shrill. Posture crumbled, from maestro to accused. I stood poised. Unruffled. I'd scripted this moons ago, literally. Clause 7.3. Any unlicensed distribution or presentation triggers arbitration. Penalties under primary jurisdiction. We embedded it, hashes and visuals. Invisible yet registry tracked. We logged her template grabs. Footer deletions. File renames. All stamped. Copyrighted. Archived. Notarized. Her optimized backend? A crime scene in candy coatings and catchlines. Any attribution records or fees for this? Nora queried. Glasses glinting. CFO squirmed, not that I'm aware. MS. Read on any memos acknowledging external sourcing. Silence. Sophia glared at him. Lips pursed, no blaze. For she needed shields now. Burning them? Fatal. I sensed the room deflate, not confusion's hush. But comprehension's chill. I didn't crow. Didn't sneer. This wasn't vengeance, it was design. Legal. Deliberate. Orchestrated. They'd demanded invisibility, build mute. Mend unseen. Vanish at lights up. I complied. But they Sophia especially missed. Vanishing is not equal to powerless. It equaled patience. Now her arsenal? Distrusted words and a pilfered screen. By midnight, the breach notice fired, IP infringement, predictive framework. Veritas Ref. 141123. I drafted it pre-summit. Lena vetted twice. Crisp paras. Citations. No flair, just timestamps. File names. Clauses. Forensic sips. 14 disclosures sands off. 7 misbrands. 3 near falsifications. Attached, Clause 11.2 IP breach mandates disclosure to investors/buyers within 72 hours, or assume liability. Trigger due diligence reversals. They'd signed it. Page 42. Now action loomed. Sophia ignored the MSA, operated on summaries. Stripping clutter. But legal/compliance knew. Clock ticked. Unstoppable. BridgeTech logged at 12:08 a.m. Compliance forwarded to GC, escalate 11.2. By 12:14. To CEO/chair. Reads by 12:23. At 12:26. Sophia's dashboard access revoked. I didn't monitor live, patterns repeat across firms. Illusion's lifespan varies, Sophia's? 17 hours. 11 minutes from summit bravado to toxic realization. My licensing doesn't just flag, it taints. Renders projections dubious. Sparks diligence reruns. Liability recalcs. Council marathons. By 9 a.m. Buyers paused, reevaluate post-asset provenance clarity. Sophia spun a team call, routine IP check. But a staffer BCC'd Lena, she'd morphed from visionary to fixer for her own mess. Noon brought the pivot, internal memo. Disclosure risks, acquisition. Notes, reads deck asset liability per breach stamp. Further sans resolution escalates NDA 18B. Sophia herself? Now radioactive. Post-lunch. Her escorting EA turned note-taker for legal, redacted logs damning. Queried on model origins, assumed legacy. Legacy had shielded her, now it damned. Inherited theft voids deals. At 4:03 p.m. Chair scheduled breach containment, summit models. No Sophia invite. Lena phoned that eve. They're firewalling her. Can't, I said. They don't realize yet, she agreed. City lights flickered like frayed nerves. No more time. I hadn't demolished, just nudged physics. Sophia learned, ignore scaffolding. Your narrative tumbles. Sophia rang twice that AM. No messages. Just her name flashing like a red flag. I let it ring. Hour later. Blocked number, same. Then board email. Sterile plea for IP ownership docs. I attached one, original license PDF. Signed by BridgeTech founder Marcus Hale 4 years back. Naming me lead on forecasting frameworks. Full attribution. Licensing. Arbitration teeth, Lena once quipped it was art. Section 3.4b, unattributed use resolves via binding arb. Penalties on offender. Send hit. Clock restarted. By noon. Valuation iced. Buyers. Withdraw summit forecasts pending dispute resolution. Sophia? Dust in the wind. I didn't blast media or gossip mills. My plays are hushed. Binding. Board held ethics review, policy, but agenda screamed, breach timelines. Oversight fails. Misrepresentation. Arbitration paths. Separation. Sophia? Topic. Not attendee. Lena observed per rights. Sophia crashed anyway, tardy. Rattled. Loitering outside. Junior legal, closed session. But I'm strategy VP. Exactly why not? They dissected license. Timestamps. Disclosure mandates to insurers. Reviewed her zero checks pre-pitch. By 6:30 p.m. Notice, framework compromised pending ARB. At 7:42. CTO scrubbed his LinkedIn praise for her summit. Around 8 p.m. Her email, we need to talk. Unopened. Equilibrium shifted, evidence's mass. Foresight she deemed clutter. BridgeTech ditched her. Not future, footnote. If affordable. Me? Claimed indelible truth, signed. Stamped. Irrefutable. Sophia breached the boardroom like it was still her domain. Dark suit. Phone gripped. Chin defiant. But cracks showed, knuckles white on the device. As if alerts could rewind doom. No seat offered. She stood by bottled water. Awaiting nods. None came. Chairman launched sans hello. Reciting Veritas complaint verbatim. 14 breaches. Derivative models. Overlays. Misrep and summit to stakeholders. Voice even. Each clause a hammer. Sophia held till the figure. $61.4 million exposure. Potential insurance void. Then, insane. Not malicious. Intent irrelevant, Chairman deadpanned. You did. Never saw licensing, never asked, he boomed. She gaped, he silenced with a palm. Eyeing me. Quiet, sliced like a scalpel. Unintroduced. Yet when he said, MS. Heart. Stay through Q4 on your terms, it landed absolute. I nodded, no glee. Just reclaiming inevitable. Across. Sophia petrified, lips sealed. Eyes glazed. Breath shallow. She grasped, not just breach. But erasing the incomprehensible erased her path. GC drafted fresh agreement on screen. CFO shrank, CTO averted gaze, he'd mimicked her jargon once. Not spite, precision. Sophia rallied, can't excise me, led strategy 6 months. No, Chairman severed. You fronted another's code. Sold as your invention. Hush returned. Allies evaporated, witnesses scrubbed. She didn't weep. Rage just pivoted. Exited whisper soft. I lingered. Vetted terms. Inked nothing till my clause, attribution plus oversight eternal. My models. Controls. Terms. Post-session. Junior boarder. Thought you were just consultant. I met his eyes, I was. Then departed her path. Unburdened, didn't force visibility, made denial futile. It dropped unheralded. No buzz. Just revised packet to portal at 11:42 p.m. Thursday, hoping invisibility. But I saw, deck leaner. No fluff. Pure metrics. Final page. Bottom right, attribution, predictive platform. Veritas Tech. Led, Emily Hart. Not aid lead. Sophia erased, no footnotes. History. She'd never owned it, just posed. My name endured in quarterlies. Below disclosures. Certified/licensed by Veritas Tech. Etched. Eternal. Structural. Sophia vanished, bio gone AM. Slack dead PM. No suit. No threats, she knew the contract's bite. I didn't toast publicly. Signed new pact. Audited workflows. Embedded tracking. Trained compliance duo. Handed manual with my mark. Then receded, not shadow. Guardian. Silent command. Ensuring stages hold. Board sent wine. Note, thanks for self-save. Unreplied. Not thanks remembrance. Not a claim. Vengeance attribution. So next deck flip. Secure feel? One line reminds, why? Certified by Veritas Tech.